Ideas for Impact, the channel where we talk all things business, sustainability, and impact. In today's video, we're going to be covering the essential tools that can help you create a theory of change, or TOC for short. As we know, theory of change can be such a powerful roadmap that can help you clarify your impact goals. It can map out the entire process to get to impact and align with your business objectives. And it can actually help you figure out how to measure your impact pathway. And so today we've got 10 impact tools that can help you along this path to figure out a theory of change, to measure your theory of change, and really sometimes even tools that we can utilize around impact that can help us brainstorm what it is that we need to do and how to do it and do it well. The first one is called the problem tree analysis. So this tool is all about understanding what we call the root cause and its effects on the core problem that your company is trying to solve. So imagine drawing a tree. The trunk is your main problem, and the roots are really these underlying causes, and the branches are all the effects and sometimes even the symptoms. Because you don't want to solve for the symptoms, right? You want to solve whatever you're solving for that root set of causes. And so by breaking down the problem, you're going to gain that clarity on what needs addressing and where your theory of change should actually focus on. And this is a really foundational tool, ensuring that whatever you're working on is really trying to address the real issues at hand, not just the symptoms. Second, goal definition template. Okay, so straightforward. But once we understand the problem, the next step is to really understand our impact goal. So a goal definition is so important. This is a straightforward template, but it helps you clarify what it is that we're actually trying to achieve, right? You might have a problem you're trying to solve, but if we don't know that final end impact we're trying to create, then we're not going to be able to create it. It really allows us and it prompts us to articulate both the short-term and long-term goals. And it's meant to be figured out and written down in very simplified and specific language without, acronyms, without big sort of convoluted language. It's meant to be understandable by everybody. And so this template can really help you set you up for developing an impact narrative that matters to your business. The third is, of course, one of our favorites, the logic model. This is a massive visualization tool that helps us organize our theory of change thinking into these 5 parts. And we're going to have a separate video on this because it's such a big tool. Essentially, you get this tool mapped out into 5 categories: inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, and impact. And we're not going to go in detail here. We're going to link it below. But, this logic model actually helps you clarify each step of your impact pathway of how you're actually perceiving to create the impact in the world that you've stated you're going to create. And it helps you unearth many areas where perhaps you're making assumptions, perhaps you haven't thought through the activities that are leading to those outputs, that are leading to those outcomes, because all of these things are connected. And if we don't look at them and plan for them as if they're connected, we're going to create solutions and we're going to create strategies that actually don't lead to the impact that we seek to have. So logic model, a wonderful, wonderful tool that if you're going to use any of these tools for theory of change, logic model is a critical one for this. The fourth one is called backwards mapping or backcasting. And this is a tool that can help you work backwards from your ultimate goal of impact, or honestly, like any goal, right? It's not just for, it's not reserved just for impact. It can be used in many different scenarios. But with backward mapping, you literally can outline immediate, intermediate, and long-term actions, ensuring that, every step of the way, you're not actually missing any of the milestones or midterm goals that you might need in order to get to your final end impact goal. And this is especially useful for any kind of ambitious goal setting, helping you really break down that backwards map. So, you could map it out, if your end goal is in 10 years or 20 years, or a very long time, or maybe even 5 years, you're going to, work backwards to map out what does year 4, 3, 2, 1 look like actually for you. Number 5 is called outcomes mapping or outcomes brainstorming, and it's an excellent tool for tracking the behavioral changes that you require your stakeholders or your customers to actually undertake in order for impact to be realized. In the in the scenario of the outcome map, these stakeholders are called your boundary partners. And very much so, unlike traditional models that focus just on the outputs, so that's like an immediate output, like bums in seats, money made, customers bought this many products in this many stores, whatever. The outcome mapping actually emphasizes the change in attitude and behavior and actions that contribute to your end goal. And this is important because, like, the majority of impact that happens in the world is because of some kind of consumer or person human behavior, right? So knowing that outcome and mapping out that outcome is so important. It's an element that often gets missed. But it's a big item in actually understanding how impact is realized from the human perspective, right? So this is really important and actually helps us really make this approach to theory of change and understanding impact be human-centered, not just be transactional in nature. The 6th is also one of our favorites that we use all the time, and it's called stakeholder mapping or interest holder mapping, and it's foundational. It's not just for theory of change or impact, it's for strategic planning. It's anytime you're doing business. So important to actually be able to map out your stakeholders that are influencing, impacting, and then also that you're impacting, right? So in order to really, from a theory of change perspective, to develop a theory of change that reflects the impact that you want to have, you really need to know who your stakeholders are, right? And your relationship with all those stakeholders. And so this mapping exercise actually helps you identify and categorize everyone, right? It's one thing to just map them out, but you need to categorize that is involved in this theory of change. And this includes everybody from like partners, investors, customers, community members, different types of community members, grant makers, like lenders, whoever it might be. Not only are you identifying them, but you're also clarifying their relationship to you, their influence, and their impact. And then this helps you really understand their interests, their contributions, and the potential challenges that relationship might have now and into the future in order for you to realize your impact. The next is our assumptions checklist. Also one of our favorites, critical in the theory of change perspective to understand our impact, but it's literally the simplest tool. Let's list every assumption, something that we, think is true, but we don't have any evidence or rationale or validation for that assumption to be true. It's something that we think or perceive to be true, but it's not, because we don't actually have evidence to prove it. And it allows you to actually systematically look at the assumptions all across your theory of change or your logic model around, the impact that you're having, or how you're going to have the impact on the various stakeholders that you might have. And it really helps you just list out all the assumptions that you might have about the work that you're doing. The 8th tool that we're going to mention here is the risk analysis matrix. And this really goes hand in hand with the assumptions checklist. This tool can help you really identify and categorize, and then, of course, prioritize the potential risks that are within your theory of change, that are within your pathway to achieving the impact that you seek. And this could be everything from, not having enough capital to realize your impact, lack of engagement from your consumers. If you need your consumers to change behavior, lack of engagement is critical. And then also, any risk factors that are external to your influence, but you still have to adapt and be flexible to them. Those all pose risks, right? And the matrix can help you assess the likelihood of those risks and the impact that each of those could have on your operations and even various parts of your logic model. The risk analysis really helps you be able to have contingency plans for anything that happens, so that you're prepared for the challenges that could arise in your path and in your process to creating impact through your business. Now, the ninth tool is called the fishbone diagram, or otherwise known as the cause and effect analysis. Other than looking really cool like a fishbone, it is an excellent tool, often used in the workshop environment, but you can do it online with your team. It helps you identify and analyze the root causes of an issue. So we talked about the root cause as being a critical. We had the tree. This is a different type of tool that we can use to really be able to understand a problem and the root causes that are associated with that problem. This visual framework actually allows participants and anybody on your team to really break down that central problem into many different factors. You can, unlike the tree, this one you can really organize into various categories like people, processes, materials, investors, etc. And you, of course, involve your team members in this. And this can be a powerful tool to help clarify any underlying issues, and even define specific outcomes that address these root causes within your model. And it's actually very helpful in aligning everyone to the core problem or problems that you're trying to solve for in your impact business. And the last, but certainly not least, is the adaptation framework, which is all about evolving the theory of change as you learn from the data that you gather and track. And this framework helps you actually set up a process for continuous learning and feedback, which is critical, right? Like if you just have a theory of change and you never look back and you never gather any indicators, then it's just like a pretty diagram that hasn't been utilized. So you want to use it and you want to learn from it, and you want to adapt it as time goes by when you actually implement the model in real life. And by using this framing, you're building in flexibility into that theory of change and ensuring that it remains relevant as time goes on, and as you learn and you gather data and as impact gets realized. And it allows you to be responsive and flexible and insightful in the work that you do. So 10 tools. I know we threw a lot out there. Each of these tools plays a unique role in helping you develop a comprehensive and adaptable theory of change, so that at the end of the day, you're able to realize the impact that you seek to create through the business or the fund or the organization that you're trying to build. Thank you for joining this video on the 10 tools to use for impact and theory of change. Remember that every tool is there to support your unique impact goals. So mix them up, adapt them to your particular situation and business. If you're using a tool that we didn't mention, please share that below in comments. Or maybe you've used one of these tools and you've had an experience. We'd love to hear more about that. So please comment below. And please, if you like this video, found it valuable and helpful, please like, subscribe, comment, and join us on the channel for more videos about business, impact, and sustainability.